My best friend messed up my life by making everyone think that I rejected them in high school because she was jealous and possessive. As a result, her marriage fell apart because she kept bringing me up. I'm 28 and I used to be best friends with Anna. We've been friends since high school. She was popular and outgoing, while I was the introverted. I had a friend in high school who was really nerdy. I had a crush on Ethan for about 2 years, but I figured he'd probably prefer Anna, so I stayed out of it. They started dating, and I supported her, even though their relationship was pretty toxic. Over time, I grew to dislike Ethan because he was rude and mean. They broke up when we were 21, but they got back together a year later and eventually got engaged. We got back together a year later and eventually got engaged at 23. 3 months before the wedding, Ethan called me drunk and asked why I rejected him. I told him he was drunk and ended the call. The very next day, I was kicked out of group chats and ignored by everyone else in our friends' circle. When I texted my friends to ask what happened, they ignored me. When I reached out to Anna, I found myself blocked. Desperate, I even tried calling Ethan, but my number was blocked too. I had no idea what I'd done wrong and I wished anyone would tell me. That week was hell. Anna's silence hurt the most. At the time, she was really important to me, so I barely slept. I was having panic attacks at night while trying to keep it together for class during the day. My roommates were really supportive and helped me through my panic attacks. I don't know how I would have made it through. Anna and I went to the same local university, but we took different courses. I was at the same university, but I took different courses. I was waiting for her outside her class when she came out with her friends. I pulled her aside and asked what was going on. She said I was a fake friend who was trying to steal Ethan. I said I was innocent and asked for proof. She went silent and left. They didn't unfriend me on Facebook. I deleted my old Facebook account and changed my number. I slowly rebuilt my self-esteem and moved on. Recently, I created a new Facebook account. A few days ago, I was added to a group chat for our upcoming reunion. I had no idea about this. They greeted me, calling me class president, as if they hadn't shunned me 6 years ago. I left the group, but they kept messaging me. Anna kept calling, so I finally picked up out of annoyance. She told me that she was sorry for everything and wished for me to come to the class reunion party. The party didn't go ahead. It seems to be complete without the class president every year. She told me that she divorced Ethan after 2 years of marriage. She tried to reach out to me but couldn't find any of my socials or contact info. After we graduated, I asked her why she was telling me all this when she was not important to me anymore. She cried. I ended the call and continued ignoring their messages on Messenger. My family says forgiveness is for my own peace and that it doesn't mean forgetting, but I don't feel anything anymore, only indifference. I don't owe them anything to ease their guilt. So, Ida, I have an update for you, November 21st, 2024. Hey guys, some people in my last post, I said I should reach out to Ethan. Well, before I could do that, he reached out to me. Yesterday, I got a friend request from him and a message saying hi on Messenger. So we talked. He invited me for coffee this weekend to talk about it. I told him not to push as I asked him about his call that night. Since most boys were too intimidated to approach me, they often asked Anna to convey their feelings to me. Ethan was one of them. Apparently, a lot of boys had a crush on me back then, but at the time only Anna received open confessions. So I assumed I was infatuated with Anna. I would have done anything for her. She was my world. I never heard of any boys liking me, but I knew she liked me. She always came back. She had this apologetic look and would tell them I'd rejected them and repeat the insults I'd supposedly said about them. No wonder some people in high school called me arrogant and disliked me. I just thought it was because I was a strict class president and student committee member. I was strict, sharp-tongued and rarely smiled. I don't know anyone who smiles. Ethan explained that he was mean to me back then because Anna told him I had said he was an orphan, abandoned by his parents. This was a particularly sensitive topic for him as he had been raised by his. He found out the truth when Anna accidentally told him during an argument. This led him to file for divorce. Ethan said he loved Anna, but her constant insecurity and habit of bringing up my name in every argument strained their relationship. Ethan was accused of still thinking about me or being compared to me. Anna did find out about Ethan's drunken call that same night they had an argument. Ethan came close to calling off the wedding, but Anna convinced him to stay. Neither Ethan nor Anna lied or twisted the story. Anna simply told our entire I was cut off by my friends. They knew I hadn't done anything wrong, but they still blamed me for Ethan's feelings towards me. I'm an introvert and most of my friends were hers. It was no surprise that they followed her lead when she turned against me. They were always her friends, not mine. Anna and my ex-classmates painted me as the villain to the other friends from high school. Ethan didn't help me because he was manipulated to hate me. His words, not mine. That's why I changed my number and deleted all my social media accounts. While no one directly, I was flooded with nasty messages and saw posts that seemed to be aimed at me, even though my name was never mentioned. Ethan only revealed everything to the other friends after his divorce with Anna was finalized. Now Anna and my ex-classmates are the ones being shunned by the others, which has been going on for 2 years. Ethan said he owed me an apology, though he knew it wouldn't be enough after everything that happened. While he never smeared my name, he stood on the sidelines and did nothing, simply because I rejected him and called him an abandoned orphan during high school. He asked me if I'd be going to the upcoming reunion. The reunion party this time was for the 1995 high school batch. My ex-classmates probably wanted one of their former class presidents to attend for appearances. I told him I wouldn't go. He said I could sit with him and his ex-classmates if I wanted to. I told him I wouldn't be attending. I don't have any friends from high school. He said the others would be sad if they heard I said that. Well, I don't care. I got a lot more messages from old friends, but I didn't respond to any of them. I don't have any attachment to them. I told Anna that Ethan already told me everything. She called me on it. I got another message from her. She was crying. She said she might have been a terrible friend, but that she did care about me. She said that all those years I was always on her mind. I realized that I was too attached to her because she was my first real friend. I had no friends in middle school because I was too shy and quiet. Anna taught me how to make friends. She taught me how to make friends and overcome my social anxiety. She also introduced me to a lot of people. I learned to cook for her and took care of her when she was sick. I even protected her from creeps. Everything I did was for her. Now that I think about it, it was kind of unhealthy. Maybe she wanted me to be that version of myself again, only for her convenience. She begged me to try again, saying she would be a better person for me. But I just ended the call and blocked her after a few minutes of contemplating. I decided to delete my Facebook account again. I have a feeling that if I didn't, they will keep on bothering me. I'll settle with I was just doing it for her benefit. She asked me to give her another chance and said she would be a better person for me. I ended the call and blocked her. After a few minutes, I decided to delete my Facebook account again. I think they'll keep bothering me if I don't. I'll just have to settle with I made my Facebook account to play Harvest Town. I'm sorry for the long post. This will be my one and only update. I want to thank the 4 people who messaged me on Reddit. Your messages meant a lot. As not many people have done so much for me in my life, I hope this update answers your questions. I have some additional information that I think you'll find interesting. Upon clarifying her timeline, I learned that she never admitted those feelings, even to herself. It's not unusual for a girl to lie about her feelings for a boy she likes, but it is odd to do it to all her love interests. How do I know? I'm a bisexual woman. Admitting to myself that I liked other girls as a teenager wasn't easy. I think it's pretty normal for female best friends to hold hands and sleep together. I'm bisexual too. It's brave of you to confront your past. You don't have to forgive anyone. Just focus on yourself and build healthy relationships moving forward. Thanks, OOP. I've come to realize that I'm indifferent about it now. It's been 6 years and I have better friends now. I'm content with my life. She never did anything, but she would always lean on my shoulder and hug me when sleeping. She always insisted that I sleep over at her house on the weekend. Perhaps Anna had feelings for you. This doesn't excuse any of her bad behavior. Honestly, it reminds me of a popular girl I knew in high school who liked I wasn't compatible with her, so I rejected her. Let me tell you, she made my life as hard as she could for as long as we were in the same class. It doesn't excuse any of Anna's awful behavior, but it's a possibility. I doubt it, to be honest. Maybe she just likes the idea of being taken care of. She had no problems throwing me away for Ethan. But now that I think about it, our dynamic was weird. Maybe this is too much information. I didn't date back then, and only hooked up with people because Anna didn't like them. She didn't agree, and now I have trust issues. I'm too afraid to commit in a relationship. It's not that I'd cheat, but I'm just too afraid to trust my life and my heart to someone else again. The next story is about my sister's wife. She treated me like I didn't exist and hid their babies from me. When my sister found out, she said she'd jump in front of a train for me instead of her wife. My sister is a lesbian, and I married her wife a year ago. They support my parents financially. They're wealthy and generous. They have good jobs and have decided to have a baby. My sister-in-law is currently about 6 months pregnant. They're visiting for the holidays. I don't see them very often because I'm in college. I'd also appreciate financial support. Everything is above board, but I'm really excited for their baby. My sister and her wife have been dating since their senior year of college and have been friends since childhood. I'm 7 years younger, so I was kind of left out of the loop. I never knew my sister's wife until they got married, and even then I was really busy with my first year of college, so I didn't really ever get to know her. I was really excited though for this trip since we'd get some one-on-one time together. Our parents live about 2 hours away from my sister and her wife, and I flew in from across the country. We're all staying with our parents, who aren't retired yet. My flight got in yesterday late at night, so I slept in. My parents went to work, and my sister went to do some shopping. My sister-in-law stayed in with me, but I didn't realize she was around until she came downstairs while I was making lunch. She's pretty obvious. She's pregnant and I haven't seen her since her wedding, so I was really excited to see her. She wasn't. I said hi and went to hug her, but she backed away. I apologized, but she just kind of looked at me weird and went looking through the fridge. I tried to make small talk with her, so I asked when she was due. She gave me this really weird look, like I'd asked what her cup size was. Then she just said March and kept making her food. I said I was really excited to have a niece or nephew and then asked if she wanted a boy or girl. She sighed really loudly and said she didn't care and moved on. My sister had mentioned that her wife had PTSD due to I was worried that might have been it. I tried to change the subject and asked how her work was going. She put her knife down loudly, stared at me for 30 seconds, then said fine and went into the dining room without saying anything else all day. I just kept trying to interact with her. She offered to get her a drink while I was in the room, but she just muttered no. I asked what she was watching, and she said The Simpsons. I said I was really glad she was spending the holidays with us, but she just said you really. I thought this must just be how she is, but then my parents and sister came home, and she was really friendly and nice to them. My dad was asking if they had names picked out, but she just wouldn't stop chatting. My sister said she wanted a family name, and her wife wanted something unique. My mum pointed out that my name, Anais, isn't very common, but it's also a family name, like my grandmother. I said I wouldn't mind having a niece with my same name. My sister was really enthusiastic about it. Her wife gave me a look that seemed to say she was thinking, I don't think so. I just ended up getting the silent treatment. At dinner, I asked if she would pass the potatoes, and she didn't listen. I repeated myself, but she ignored me. My sister told her I'd asked for the potatoes to be passed. She suddenly became really chatty and giggly. I guess I didn't hear. What should I do? Should I tell my sister? Should I challenge her directly? I have very positive relationships with my parents and my sister. I want to be really involved with my nephew. So I don't want to go 100% no contact or anything. How can I try to resolve or at least get over this? Many updates as of this morning. She asked if I were seeing anyone, in a kind of snarky tone. I said no, that school was really busy and I just didn't have time. She responded that not everyone finds someone, and then my sister tried changing the subject, asking my parents whether or not they'd gone to their winter home yet. They're those rich people. My sister was saying what a lovely house it is and how grateful she was to have been able to take a vacation there with my sister. Last month, my mom is easily flattered, So once my sister got started, she started gushing about her and it was just a bit of a love-in. After breakfast, I offered to take our dogs for a walk. When I got back, my parents had left with my sister to go shopping again. My sister was the only one home. She asked me how I was liking college. I said I was liking it a lot. I'm majoring in pre-dental. I started talking about it a bit, and she rolled her eyes. I apologized for oversharing, and she said it was fine. You just have a problem with reading the room, I guess. Then she walked away. When my sister comes home, I'm definitely going to tell her about it. Additional info, Whoop clarified why Sil may not like her. There was one thing I might be able to think of in terms of her wedding. It was initially scheduled on the day of my finals were coming up, and I had to tell my sister that I either wouldn't make it or the date would have to be changed. She was really upset because she and her wife had wanted a winter wedding, and the date seemed perfect for them. I said that wasn't going to happen. I had to give up the winter aspect, but I suggested moving it a day back. There was a big fight, and I think my sister got involved. She likes to be liked, so I think of her as a human golden retriever. She didn't want to be mad at me, so we worked through it. Her wedding ended the day after my finals, which I was grateful for. There's been no resentment or hard feelings since. My sister actually laughs at herself for being kind of an ass. Her choice quote from that time was, "You just don't have to go. It's just a test." I was my sister's MO, and I didn't see much of my sister prior. She'd caught food poisoning at her bachelorette party, so she was pretty much stuck at home for most of the pre-wedding celebrations. During the reception, I gave a speech about my sister and her wife's friendship and how we'd been waiting for them to tie the knot. They're a match made in heaven. Heaven, etc., etc. She teared up, gave me a big hug and said she was excited to be my sister-in-law. She wanted to talk more with me, but some relatives wanted to ask me why I chose the college I did. So I went to go talk to them. I'm probably going to bring this up with my sister either today or tomorrow. It all depends on. I didn't get a chance to talk to my sister when my parents came back from shopping with her. My mum started saying how she had the perfect onesie for her granddaughter. I asked what my mum meant before my sister could start gushing. She asked if I hadn't heard I'd be having my niece and I replied that we hadn't heard. My sister said it was weird because she'd asked her wife to tell me once they'd gotten the ultrasound. Her wife had no excuse and had the most deer-in-the-headlights reaction. There was something that just sort of snapped, and I started crying. I felt kind of spoiled and horrible, for I apologized and went upstairs with the dogs. My parents came upstairs and my mum went to ask if I was okay. My sister and her wife started shouting downstairs. My mum basically said that my sister doesn't like me and that it wasn't really my fault. She's just bad with people she doesn't know and took it out on me inappropriately, and yes, my sister was still annoyed about the wedding date thing, which just made it worse. I felt really bad about it, and just like really bad. Part of it wasn't my fault, but part of it was my fault. My sister knew about both issues beforehand and had given my sister instructions. They were still shouting downstairs, so I asked my mum if we could take the dogs for another walk. We went out the back, and when we came home, my sister had left the house to cool down and her wife was upstairs. I spent most of the rest of the day downstairs until my sister came home. She had obviously been crying and was in a bad mood. My mum took her into the kitchen to calm her down, so I kept sitting in the living room. I felt like a bratty little kid again. I genuinely felt like I'd messed up my sister's marriage and probably ruined our. It was a rough day. The whole situation felt awful. When my sister came out of the kitchen, she didn't even look at me. She just stormed back upstairs. Her wife started yelling first, and they were fighting for a while before it got quieter upstairs. My mom, dad, and I went out for dinner, and when we came home, my sister was waiting. My sister apologized to me, saying she'd been a bit petty and rude. She said the wedding date thing had been an issue. I said it was okay if she was upset about it, but I wish she'd let me know. She said it wasn't that easy, since my sister would basically take a bullet from me. It had caused them a big fight before their wedding. I said I had no idea. And that I was sorry to be the source of that tension. And I just wanted to be a good sister-in-law myself. And be a good aunt. My sister got angry. And said I had ruined the opportunity for the first one. And she wasn't banking on the second one. Then she stormed upstairs. And she and my sister got into another. There was a big fight and I felt awful. I ended up throwing up while my sister and her wife were still fighting. My mom was really kind and stayed up with me and my dad. My dad tried to get my sister and her wife to calm down. I specifically heard my sister shouting, "Who would you jump in front of a train for? Or her?" My sister responded without missing a beat. My sister, no questions asked. They got quieter after that. Then my sister started up the screaming about an hour later, saying, "I've let all my siblings die for you." My sister slept on the couch, and the two of us went out for breakfast in the morning. She basically said that after my sister's birth, my sister and her wife were going to separate. They were going to try counseling before and after the birth, but if things weren't getting better, they'd be divorcing. I said that it shouldn't have gotten that far and I was sorry for pushing them both. My sister said that my sister-in-law does this to all her friends and they've been fighting. She said that the way she treated me was a deal breaker. She said it might have sounded sad, but I was her best friend from birth and she wouldn't let me not feel welcome like that. I felt really guilty and started crying again. She kept saying she wanted it this way, that the relationship was broken as is, etc. It's been tense and it's been awkward ever since. My sister has been by my side a lot and has been acting like a great sister, but I still can't look at her or speak to her. I feel terrible about everything. It's been a rough time, and I'm sure I'll be posting again during the Christmas season. This isn't a great update, but there you have it.